With Amex Platinum, you can enjoy access to dedicated card member entrances at select events because skipping the line makes you the star of game day. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex. Card member entrance access not limited to Amex Platinum card.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route? Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down! Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Podcast right here at Soonerscoop.com, and it is the last event of a very long day, 2:42 a.m., and we are here talking about Oklahoma's 25-15 loss to Tennessee. I know you guys have had a chance for an instant analysis, and I'll just give you mine. Oh, what shit that was to watch on offense tonight. I did not see... I thought that going into this game, the offensive line would have a rough go of it. Tennessee had a very good defensive line. What I didn't see was that actually things would hold up okay in the beginning, and that Jackson Arnold would look worse than he has ever looked in a Sooner uniform tonight. And I couldn't put any of the blame on anyone more than I did Jackson Arnold for the way things went offensively tonight. We can get into the offensive line and Seth Luttrell and play calling, receivers, all that stuff, but just shocking to me that a guy in a crowd, an environment, and Eddie, you talked about it on the instant analysis, what an incredible job by the OU fans today. And look, I expected to see some orange in the crowd. That's just the way it goes. I don't think it was alarming in the number that I saw. You just saw it.
I didn't think that it was like overwhelming.
No.
I thought this was.
They had their section, and then they had the upper deck section. And there was a smattering. What I did notice is the people that were the smartest people with season tickets are the ones right up by the field, because you saw a lot of orange, like right up on the 50, like right up against the wall. Like those people were selling their tickets for a lot of money, and they probably just put them as a ridiculous price on a ticketing service. And those Tennessee fans are like, yeah, I'll pay $5,000 or I'll pay $2,500 or whatever. So anyway, back to my original rambling. Just shocked by how bad Jackson Arnold was. And there's no doubt. I mean, a lot of times I come out and I'll say, I didn't think it was time yet. It was clearly time. There was no one questioning whether or not that you had to try something else because of Jackson Arnold. And it was the fumble on the 5-yard line after the defense just caused a fumble. It was the backwards lateral or the perfect lateral, whatever you want to call it. And it was such a bad lateral. Like Brennan Thompson didn't even have a chance to get it. It's not like I thought Brennan Thompson wasn't trying to get it. It was such a terrible pass. It was just he threw it out in the middle of no man's land. At that point, I was just like, yeah, if you want to bring in Michael Hawkins, let's see what he's got.
You had to. You would have lost everybody. I think that place would have turned into an entire revolt if they wouldn't have pulled Jackson Arnold out of the game. You had to bench him.
And he needed it for himself. I mean,
I've never seen a guy that just, when things get bad, his body language is just absolute shit.
Yeah, I would agree.
Can I say one thing, too,
sure.
that'll have to be bleeped? I'll do the one.
Let me get the... okay, go ahead.
They're fucking awful offensively.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how you can put 11 guys on the field at the University of Oklahoma, and they are terrible. I mean, we referenced it in the instant reaction on YouTube. This is 1998, 97, 96 offensive bad. As bad. Somebody asked me on Twitter tonight, are they as bad offensively as 2018 defense was? My immediate reaction is yes, Because at least the defense
It's in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
It's in the same universe.
I mean, and it's both shit. Don't get me wrong. But at least some of those defenses would get off the field at times. They're not even picking up first downs. And it's not even close.
Well, like Ari Wasserman was here from On 3, and we had to come back over early so he and Andy could do their live stream. And one of the first things he said was, this feels exactly like all those Heisman winner teams, except the opposite. Like, he was so impressed with the defense that he was so unimpressed with the offense. It was like there could not be more polar opposites.
How are these people on the same team together? To a certain extent, how are these guys, this group on the defensive side, so much improved, and the fall off from the offensive side? Matt Burton had a great stat tonight.
Yeah, George was showing me that earlier.
15 first downs tonight. Oklahoma had 7 total yards on first down of the 15 first downs
and a lot
that
of
they
them
had.
were negative plays.
3 turnovers and a safety.
On first down.
Yeah.
Well, like you guys said, there was a time in the first quarter where you felt like, okay, this offense is starting to figure it out a little bit. They started running the ball, and they started attacking the edges of the Tennessee defense. And then, Tennessee started beating the shit out of OU's running backs. I mean, Javonte Barnes went down, then Taylor Tatum went down, never came back in the game. And Gavin Sawchuk, again, behind this offensive line that cannot move anyone, he is so completely ineffective that the number of carries he got tonight was justified. It would have been Sam Franklin, I'm pretty sure, had more plays tonight than Gavin Sawchuk did. More snaps, I'm trying to say.
Gavin Sawchuk had 2 carries. Sam Franklin had 1. They both had 0 yards. No, actually, technically, they had -3 and -2 yards.
But the throws that Jackson Arnold was making tonight, and look, we'll get into the injuries and things like that, but he let some balls sailed. He threw some balls down the field once again that no one had a chance of catching. And that's not even talking about not taking care of the football. That's not talking about the backwards lateral that ends up as a turnover. There were a few good passes that he had in that game, but it's like you said, his confidence tanks awfully fast.
Jackson Arnold was so bad tonight, guys, that there was a couple throwaways that Michael Hawkins had in the fourth quarter that was like, that's an improvement. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And I love Jackson. I was, a week ago, we were basically saying that there's no reason no reason for concern. He's a young quarterback. He's going to grow through it. And it was so bad tonight, you had to pull the trigger on it. George, say something. Do you have anything?
I'm reading the board, and I'm just getting crucified on the board. So
over what? Your story
on Jackson Arnold from a month ago, and then when there was the whole QB controversy from camp. People were like, you told us Jackson was good.
Well, I mean, it's worth talking about. What do we think of that? It's so hard.
I think it's hard because
it's a complex issue. We're not at practice.
Look, I think Jackson, as a quarterback, prospect, athlete, thrower, he's everything that you want. But we've seen this before with 5 stars. The first name that comes to mind for me is like Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah.
Like 5-star, went to Texas.
What about currently with DJ in Florida State?
DJ is, he's right up there. I mean, he's been given a lot of chances, though.
I mean, I think the thing with Jackson, and, it's tough because, look, I mean, I got it wrong flat out about Jackson. I thought he was going to be a lot better. But
so did the coaches, and they might pay for that with their jobs.
Correct. And, and that doesn't mean that Jackson, like I have people like quoting the feature story I wrote on him, which was all about like just his work in the offseason. That doesn't mean Jackson didn't work hard in the offseason. It just means that he might just not be a great decision maker. Like I think that's his biggest issues. He's just being really poor on his decision making. But
or Seth Luttrell might be asking him to do things that he's not particularly good at doing.
And that's the thing is like we just don't know.
Like running him as much as you're running him. Why is that? Why? In what world is that a great idea to run Jackson Arnold as much as you run?
I agree. I think what's tough is like for us
we
is in our
Jeff
job
Levy for the same thing.
Yeah, and what's hard in our job is like we want to tell the fans here's the problem and here's what we think they should do, or here's what we think about so-and-so or whatever.
Here's the problem is we've trusted these coaches to say, this is how it is, and this is who should be starting, and this is what we see on a daily basis when we don't see any of it.
Yeah.
But we have to trust the coaches because a coach is not going to be an idiot. Like Seth Luttrell has coached all over the country. He's coached under Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes got thrown out today. He might be fired next. But he's coached with all these leak tree guys, and like he's got a great resume. Like, why would he be an idiot and not be able to tell that Jackson Arnold is better than Michael Hawkins Jr.?
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
It's like people want to get mad at us. We're just going by the information
People
we
are
can go by.
People are also very mad at me for the question I asked about injuries today.
What, just about why is it happening?
Yeah, which I get. I mean, people are on the board are crucifying.
Why would they be mad about it?
They said that they just said that it was a really stupid and dumb question.
I think
it's a dumb question. Why every fucking offensive player is hurt and nobody on the defensive side outside of Kendall Dolby who dislocated his ankle?
I understood where Brent was coming from, and I probably should have worded it. Like, I worded it in a bad way, which was like, why are all these injuries happening?
The question is, are your offensive players soft?
Yes, and
you're not going to answer.
There's no good way to ask that question, but like, you can't tell me, and I just said this to somebody on the board, I was like, you can't tell me it hasn't crossed everybody's mind that it's like, why is this happening? Like, it's reached a ridiculous level of like, this is, and I said this in my question, like, is it bad luck or like, why is this happening? Because like, it's unbelievable how many guys they've lost.
The disparity between the physicality that the defense shows versus some of the way that some of the guys on the offensive side of the ball get tackled.
It's like different programs.
It truly is.
It's like, Oklahoma, the defense from Oklahoma and the offense from North Carolina or whoever you want to say. I mean,
it's shocking.
They did score 50 today.
I thought that, and they got beat by like 20.
Yeah. But they got an offense.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling that the situation that they're in just as a whole. I mean, this is historically maybe one of the worst offenses that Oklahoma's put out on a field in a long, long time.
You guys have talked about it. I'll walk you through it. I mean, this is the worst offense we've seen since Bob Stoops got to Oklahoma. And that is the Jake Seals era, the Patrick Fletcher era. It starts with like Stellenberger, Garrick McGee, Garrick McGee, I think, played for Gary Gibbs for a year in '94. Yeah, he did, and was really good. And then he got mono, and then they put Gerald Moore in there, and like Howard Stellenberger was like, "This is the next Kenny Stabler," and it's just like, he's the snake, he's the new snake. And even me at that age, I was like, I've never seen Kenny Stabler play. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, old man. But and John Blake famously played 5 quarterbacks in one game, which that's close. You're closer to that than you are to even the Trevor Knight era at this point. I mean, I showed George this tweet. I didn't send it out. It was on the Scoop account, but we were kind of doing like mean tweets that we wanted to send out, but we weren't going to send out. And I think my tweet was, "It's so nice of Oklahoma to welcome Josh Heupel back with his 2014 offense today."
Tennessee fans would have loved that. And by love that, you would have been skewered online.
Well, it would have been the Scoop account, so Josh would have been pissed off at me.
This is as bad as it was. I think there's 2 things that stick out to me to just kind of tell the story about how bad the offense was tonight. First quarter, they had 101 yards. In the fourth quarter, I get down to the north end zone.
Yeah, they're negative.
They had 98 yards, which means over the second and third quarters, they were losing yardage.
They had I think, negative 26 yards in the second quarter alone.
Yeah. I mean, they with 11:55 left, they had 98 total yards of offense.
Yeah, I still have this pulled up from when I was showing George, Soonerstats.com.
They couldn't even average a yard a carry.
There are 3 times in the history of Oklahoma football when they've had less than 100 yards total offense. They almost did that tonight.
Yeah, and obviously they end up with 200-something. There was a lot of yards that Michael Hawkins was able to generate.
If they hadn't put Michael
in.
Hawkins in, they were going to flirt with that all night.
I think so. We talked about this on the instant reaction, Carey. Just your thoughts. Like, there's going to be a lot of talk about a quarterback competition this week. And all that kind of stuff. To me, it's not even a controversy. It's not a competition. You got to go with Michael Hawkins.
You have set this program back tonight, is what you've done. You've invested in Jackson Arnold. You've put your reputation behind him. You've given him the keys, and you've said, we're going to trust you with this offense. You're going to have some ups and downs. You're a young guy. But don't look over your shoulder. Don't worry about, go to practice every day, practice hard. Michael Hawkins has made some good things happen in practices. There's my burp, hiccup. Whatever, yawn, I don't know. Anyway, but this is your team. Here's your car, drive it. And you've had to now make a 180 in the middle of a game and say all that stuff that we said, all that belief that we had in you, you've played so poorly, we've lost it all. And for a guy that has struggled with confidence, clearly, it's got to be not ego-shattering, but just confidence-shattering, a security blanket that is no longer there. You have taken Jackson Arnold out of the starting quarterback position, and he doesn't know if he will ever win it back. So for him to, what you would like to see, I'm sure, is for him to go out and practice on Monday and light it up and show the coaches that he's pissed off that he played so poorly and he's going to get better. But at the same time, I don't know if he has that in him.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But
No.
Isn't it also a situation of, for me at least, like, you can go tear it up in practice. I don't give a fuck what you do on Monday through Friday if you can't do it on Saturday.
Yep. I agree.
That's accurate, yeah.
I just think, too, that Hawkins can just open some things up.
George, this is the other part of it. The offensive line is so bad. I think Michael Hawkins, because he can move a little bit more than Jackson, is not to say that Jackson's not fast, but because he can move laterally so well and maybe avoid somebody that is getting ready to take his head off before he even catches the snap, maybe he can give you something offensively.
Well, here's the other thing. Now that this has happened to Jackson, now it's not Michael Hawkins. It's not Jackson Arnold. It's Seth Luttrell.
Yeah.
He's the guy that now has to pivot to another quarterback because he's done everything he can with Jackson Arnold. He went through spring football. He's had 4 games to get him to play like he needs to play in order for them to be a playoff football team, and it didn't happen. It's over. Like, you have to now move on to Michael Hawkins. For your job's sake, you have to move on to Michael Hawkins and hope you can get a functional offense working together to at least go into that Texas game. You have to forget Auburn. You have to find a way to beat Auburn no matter what happens with Michael Hawkins as your quarterback. But you have to get now to that Texas game with your bye week. You have to go let Michael Hawkins start against Auburn, play the whole game, even if it looks like shit at times. Let him play that game. Let him get to the bye week. Try and get better for Texas. And then hopefully you have some semblance of an offense to put on the field that can compete against a very good defense, which Texas has a very good defense. I mean, their defense might be better than Tennessee's.
When Jackson would run out there tonight in that offense and they were going through that second and third quarter, whatever it was, it felt a lot like the Davis Bevel experience at the Cotton Bowl. And you just knew they couldn't move the football. They could not find a way to move the football.
They also didn't have an Eric Gray to run a Wildcat.
I mean, it's Eric Gray. He would have been tackled 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage because, and that's the thing with the running backs. It's like, yeah, there's been no development, but can you judge those guys based off of how bad this offensive line is?
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
How does OU have such a bad offensive line?
I think Jackson,
Jackson
had enough support tonight from the offensive line. They were able to run the ball at times. He had clean pockets at times. He just made some terrible decisions. And I do think that Jackson understands what type of offensive line he's playing in front of, and he gets rid of the ball pretty good. Like you saw Michael Hawkins, he was trying to let things develop, and he could scramble out and get away and stuff like that, but it led to a lot of throwaways that Jackson Arnold would have just either pulled the ball down or just thrown it away in the pocket.
It just seems like nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Like it is. Does that like that's the simplest way I can say it?
Not so much to me. It doesn't feel that way to me as much as it is.
I don't know. It feels like there's guys.
The offense just is in shambles because they haven't had enough success that no one has any confidence in what they're doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because they're literally like, I think they're second guessing. Like,
I mean, doesn't that boil down to just simply saying they're not very well coached on that side of the football?
But it's kind of like the thing last week. What were we talking about?
Who's
when Taylor Tatum missed the blitz and Jackson Arnold threw the pick six, and everybody's like, "Well, that's a junior high thing." Like Jackson Arnold underthrowing a pick into double coverage, like that's totally on him. I don't put that on the offensive line, the receiver,
I agree.
Seth Luttrell. That's on Jackson
Let me
Arnold.
counter you with this. Name one player on the offense that has gotten better from a year ago. One player that you say, that guy's gotten a lot better from a year ago.
Javonte Barnes, but that's just because he's healthy.
Right.
You can't name one player.
No.
Gavin Sawchuk's not better. There's not a single player in that offensive line that you can really point at and say they weren't even there.
They're 4 games into the season. I feel like Gavin Sawchuk, has he had a play over like 8 yards?
No.
I
Legitimately.
don't think so. Well, Brennan Thompson hasn't gotten better.
The wide receiver thing is just...
What you guys talked about. Emmett Jones may be doing a great job recruiting, but he doesn't emphasize blocking at all with his receivers.
I mean, I think he does, though. I just think they're too small.
That's possible.
I mean, you look
but
out.
You know who's not too small and can't block is Bauer Sharp. He's terrible at it.
Yeah, but he's. I mean,
the tight end. I think the tight end position is.
And you want to talk about the running game? That's as big a failure of the running game as it is the offensive line.
I think the tight end position has been.
I mean, hand up, Bauer Sharp.
Horrifically
We thought he was going to be fantastic.
Yep.
He's very athletic.
We were all wrong.
He can do some things in the pass game.
He was playing at Southeastern Louisiana last year.
He's a one-dimensional player, though.
Yeah, he can't block.
He's a slow wide receiver.
And I love Jake Roberts, but that's your best tight end at the University of Oklahoma?
And he didn't get any better with Devon Mitchell going out there right now.
No, but I'm at the point of you might as well play him. Cade McIntyre, is he any better? Caden Helms. I know those guys were injured, but they're not even in the offense.
I just it truly.
It is wild.
I'm at the
point.
Start
going down the list. It's wild to think about the lack of development at every single position.
The lack of development on top of the injuries on that side of the football. Like I'm starting to become super conspiracy theorist on what's going on with that side of the football. Why? And I think a little bit of it is they're just small. They're small guys, and they got their ass beat today. Saved you one there.
And thankfully so, because it's time to tell you about Eskridge Lexus, the presenting sponsor for the Sooner Scoop post-game podcast. No, we're not doing the drunk. Here's the thing: it's way too late to do a drunk podcast. We'd fall asleep.
I would love to do a drunk podcast, but I'm not going to start drinking at 1 a.m.
No. Well, 2:47 or whatever it is now. 3:04 is where we're at now. But yeah, nobody's going to start drinking this late. If we have an afternoon shit show, we'll probably put together a post-game pod at some point this season. Anyway, if you're down or around Campus Corner on game days, I saw they had the I would love to have one of those. I can't even remember the name, but the little convertibles that are the V8s, they are incredible. Not the LH. Anyway, but the new GX550 with the Overtrail package, you got to go check those things out. They're cool as shit. I mean, I think they're the best new looking SUV that's out there. They're just awesome. But they've had those around. Anyway, Eskridge Lexus never adds any dock fees or bogus add-ons that you don't want. And for all Sooner Scoop subscribers and listeners, if you're buying a new or pre-owned vehicle from Eskridge Lexus, mention you're a scooper and you'll receive $1,000 off any vehicle in stock. So go shop online at www.eskridgelexus.com or give them a call today at 405-755-9000. That's eskridgelexus.com. You can see exactly what they've got in stock. And if you don't see what you want, give them a call at 405-755-9000. Ed is the best in the business at being able to get you the Lexus that you are looking for, that your wife is looking for. They work really hard and do a great job. Hell, I got a car in the middle of COVID.
Why'd you use the apostrophes when you said COVID?
Anyway, I think I've had it more than even you, Eddie, because of you guys.
Possibly.
You freaking Oklahoma City nightlifers.
Possibly.
I have an announcement to make.
Oh, no. Good
boy.
or bad? Good, bad, indifferent?
I'm done writing feature stories. Everybody I write about either
we might just
sucks,
take a little break.
Either sucks or gets injured.
Well, Kendall Dolby was your last one.
Yes, and I wrote feature stories on Jackson Arnold and Seth Luttrell. Both have stunk. And then I wrote one on Josh Heupel this week, and he just kicked OU's ass.
It's not good.
So he broke the curse, is what you're saying.
I don't think so.
Can you write a feature on Hank Brown this week? The Auburn quarterback, freshman quarterback.
Oh, he got replaced.
Oh, well, then we're moving on.
They put what's his name back
Thorne,
in there.
It's going to be an
They put Thornton back in
absolute
there.
offensive.
The thing is, too, though, like nobody wants to read a feature story anyways when the team's sucking this bad.
There's a lot of things that we're going to have to revamp with what's going on right now. Josh, if you're listening to this in the morning, lots of recruiting reports coming up for you, buddy.
Need help. Need help offensively. Here's the rough thing. The most rough part about all of it tonight. That defense played their ass off tonight.
Yep.
That's a very, very good defense.
I mean,
I was the one that
proud right now.
I was
the
one.
those guys play.
I was the one that was sitting here saying last week on the recruiting report when we talked about it with Josh. We talked about it on the unofficial 40. It was my question was: are they going to take that next step from really good, great / elite? I thought that they did more than enough tonight. More than enough.
Yes.
To put their team in position to go win that game or to at least be competitive. I'm almost at a loss for words how bad this offense is right now. It doesn't make sense to me that the University of Oklahoma can't field 11 guys that are good enough.
Can I say something, too, about tonight's game?
Yeah.
I don't think Maleava is an elite quarterback. I mean, I think he's really good.
I don't know. I think he's really good. I thought that
I was surprised that he threw so poorly on the run. When he's back in the pocket and just dropping back and he's got a clean pocket,
pretty.
he's such a good thrower.
He's a lot bigger than I thought he was,
He's
too.
very
He
tall.
didn't make the big mistake.
He did well, and
I mean, I guess
that's
he
the
did.
thing, too.
He did. I know you didn't make him pay, but
well, yeah, and Josh
never had
Heupel protected him from making big mistakes all throughout the second half by running the ball, and they were just trying to get out of there. I mean, you talk about OU's defense. In his postgame, he basically said, yeah, we couldn't do anything offensively, so we needed to just move the sticks as much as we could, take time off, and not make any stupid mistakes like throwing an interception because they knew that OU's offense could not move the ball on their defense.
Somebody, 100 years from now is going to look it up and they're going to go, oh, you only lost 25-15. That game was never that close.
No.
There was never a feeling that, they just are a couple of plays away.
But after
halftime.
It was.
I did keep thinking, though, like,
score.
what if they get a
Like-
pick six or Peyton Bowen breaks loose on a special team, like a punt return?
But,
or
I mean, you
something?
think
That's
about
how
it,
bad the offense is
Yes.
that you're hoping
Yeah, it's like,
that you get a pick six
Yeah.
or you have Peyton Bowen
make it
return a
electric.
punt.
Well,
play,
Ethan
yeah.
Downs didn't return that forced.
I said that. I
turnover.
tweeted that. I was like, think if he just like somehow breaks that tackle and scores on the scoop and score, they lose by like 1 score.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
But here's the thing, though. I mean, that team should have been blown out tonight, completely
Yeah.
blown out. But the defense was not going
played
to
their
let that
ass
happen.
off. They played their ass off. Those guys were so good defensively.
I just worry at what point do they break?
If it wasn't tonight, I don't know when they will. They're playing so many different linebackers
late in the season. Like if they're
if they start getting more injuries,
Alabama at the end of the year,
sure,
on the road at Ole Miss, no chance they can keep that up the whole game.
No. Not if you're
and
going
that's
to throwing them out there. I mean, Tennessee basically was going on 16 play drives
tonight?
What was what?
The time of possession.
It ended up being
Because Tennessee really slowed down.
35-41 for Tennessee to 24-28. 35-41 to 24-28.
It was not significant, but not insignificant.
But significant for Tennessee. Tennessee, the last couple of years, has ranked last in time of possession in the country. Like they are averaging like 26 minutes per game.
I bet a lot of
go
that.
so
I bet a
fast.
lot of that time of possession came in the third and fourth quarter too,
Yes.
when they were just running the
They're
ball.
just running the clock.
And after the lateral fumble, they knew that defense that was running back out there was gassed. They were dead.
I'm trying to look this up because I think it was the third quarter, maybe it was the second, but Nico started out like 5 of 6 for 120 yards, but like you look at his stats after that, very pedestrian. Like they really, and like we said, Josh Heupel did that on purpose, but I think he started doing that after that
I would have liked to
second
see-
quarter when he realized, this is just not going real well.
I would have liked to see Nico in a situation where it's like Tennessee's got to go score here. Like OU's put the pressure on. Like I would have loved to see what Nico's response would have been if OU would have punched it in there at the 5 in the first quarter, I believe, or second quarter, whicher one it
Second
was.
quarter.
Second
Okay,
quarter.
let me throw this out. Nico's stats in the first quarter: 5 of 6. He did have a turnover for 120 yards. The second quarter, 3 of 5 for 6 yards passing. He had 6 yards passing in the second quarter. The third quarter, he was 5 of 8 for 68. And then the fourth quarter, when they were just running it, he was 0 for 2 for 0 yards. So after throwing for 120, it really dropped off for him.
They did a great job defensively.
They did an unbelievable job.
It's just extremely disappointing that's. I mean, even with a less than average offense, OU is in that game, and it's maybe a 1 score, maybe.
Hell, you
maybe.
take out that 66-yard play where I know I tweeted that Kenai Walker got beat in single coverage, but apparently Billy Bowman was supposed to be back playing deep safety on that, and I saw that play develop like he got sucked up into the closer to the line of scrimmage. I think he was worried about the running back out of the backfield maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was just Kenai Walker one-on-one, and it was the most perfect throw you could make as a quarterback.
It was a great throw. He threw both those slants were beautiful, beautiful throws.
You know what's going to happen?
I guess the first one was kind of a post, but
Going to look into the future here. Brent's going to fire Seth Luttrell, and in 10 years, Seth Luttrell is going to come back here, the head coach of Tennessee, and beat Oklahoma.
Maybe it'll be like Florida or something like that.
Yeah, Florida. That's what's going to happen.
This is the other thing I was thinking about tonight during the game, outside of some very, very dark thoughts. If they were to take away play calling duties from Seth, we'll say,
who would they give it to?
That's my question.
There's nobody else.
I don't think
to
that
do
there's
it.
anybody that can.
No.
Joe John?
No.
I mean, he's part of he's part of this, right? He's part of this Seth operation.
He's essentially the co-coordinator.
And they just have no answers. They have no answers for all of the questions that are out there, whether it be injuries, offensive line, quarterback, running back. There's not a good position group right now.
No.
They don't have a good. What's their best position group
on offense?
Yes, I would maybe lean running back, but a lot of that has to do with just thinking that they're good. We don't know.
Great question.
This team needs instead of a bye week, they need to go ahead and just let Maine come to town.
They need an off season.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they need to figure some shit out, and that ain't happening with Auburn bye week Texas.
The NFL season is finally here, so make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. It gives you the most live NFL games all in one place, exactly what you need to make your Sundays more magical. Sign up today at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
I want to break something.
What? Let me ask you guys.
Look, you've already broken 2 cameras, all right, and one pretty recently.
Let me ask you this:
Worried about pregame. I was keeping an eye on you just to see how close you were to things.
What record do you think this team needs to get to that people don't lose their jobs?
Like coordinators?
Coordinators. I don't think Brent
would be. I don't think Brent's on the hot seat unless they don't win another game, right?
Right.
Or even,
I think that
something terrible like that.
I mean, if they have a losing season, then
2 losing seasons in the first 3 would not be good.
Yeah. But I'm talking.
I think right now everybody should be coaching for their job.
Yeah,
and I think they are.
We're 4 games into this, and God love him. I'm not blaming him to a certain extent, but Fabechi Wewu's coming in, and we're talking about communication on the offensive line. It's the 4th game.
By the way, I hate to say this, but I think Auburn is the most winnable game left on the SEC schedule.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Texas, South Carolina's playing well.
Probably not. I mean, that defensive line, they're going to...
It's at home, so they should beat South Carolina.
They should beat South Carolina.
They should. I don't know if they will.
Missouri was not good today.
They'll score 70. Not score 70, but you get the idea. They'll win by 70 somehow.
Who, Missouri?
I think Missouri is fraudulent, but OU may very well be very fraudulent.
And here's the problem. Ole Miss isn't that scary if you just have a fucking offense. They're just like Tennessee. They're a really good offense that's putting up a ton of points, but if you have OU's defense, you should have a shot. But you don't, because the offense is just that bad.
LSU might implode by the end of the year, too.
I'm telling you, man.
LSU is playing... Nussmeier's playing well.
The defense...
They played bad against UCLA today.
And UCLA is a bad team. But then again, I think OU's a terrible offense. So,
yes.
What does that say about the entire
That's what I'm
operation?
saying. I think that...
The offense is so bad, there's not a single game you can say, yeah, they're going to win that one.
I think this could end up being freezing cold take. And maybe Hawkins,
we're pretty good at that
Hawkins
right now.
turns the whole maybe Hawkins turns the whole thing around and they figure it all out offensively and they go win 8 or 9 games this year. But I think that there's going to be staff changes at the end of the season.
Hawkins is the only one that can keep them from having staff changes.
I'm definitely getting
You're putting your faith in a true freshman.
I'm definitely getting the sense too that the head ball coach is getting a little impatient.
Oh, yeah.
And it all falls back to him. He's the one that hired him. But the entire product that they're putting out offensively is just disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's incredible how far it's dropped.
There's a bunch of former OU players there tonight. Talk to them. They're disgusted offensivly with what they're doing.
How Brent had to look at Clemson when he was there. And when they had Trevor Lawrence, things were going really well. And they had that big drop-off. And Tony Elliott was kind of responsible, and people wanted him gone. And then he ended up getting the Virginia job. But, he's seen what happens when you have kind of a lame duck offensive coordinator. How bad it can hurt your football team.
Yeah.
And I think Brent is, of all the things you say about Brent, I think he does a good job handling it, but he's a very impatient person, and he's a very emotional person, and he knows what's being said.
I don't think that'd be a bad thing.
By the fan base.
I don't think that's a bad thing right now. I think it's that bad And I'm not saying like they need to fire somebody before they go into Auburn, before they possibly start a true freshman on the road.
Maybe fire like a GA or something.
Nah, kill one of them. It's just
all right, Brian Kelly.
It's so bad. I truly don't understand. Like it's shocking to me that this thing is so bad offensively.
It is to everybody.
They couldn't average a yard a carry. Either Tennessee up front is the best defensive line in the history of college football, or it's offensive malpractice to keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. And maybe a little bit of it is Jackson not being able to read anything, and they're just running the wrong play every time.
I mean, the RPO.
Remember the first play of the game? Like they snap it, and Javonte Barnes runs past him, and he like doesn't hand the ball off, but then he realizes, I have to hand the ball off, and it was like a 3-yard loss.
It was a 5-yard loss.
That's the epitome.
They started the game with a 5-yard loss. It was 2nd and 15.
That's the epitome of the offense right now.
By the way, of those 15,
but the first play of the game, I mean, we talk about scripting plays all the time and getting a quarterback in a rhythm.
You know what you're going to run all week.
Yes.
Tennessee was so smart too to just defer. They're like, sure, we'll let OU's offense.
Yeah, we talked about it all week. Like they're going to take the ball. They want to take the crowd out of it.
Yeah.
They had so little respect for OU offensively. I didn't throw that. I had knocked it off. That they were like, yeah, we'll give you the ball.
But that to me is the biggest indictment of the night is that you spend all this time knowing that the offense has got to find a way to get in rhythm, that it's not been going well. And the very first fucking play of the game is a disaster. That's an indictment on the entire coaching staff right there.
By the way, of the 15 first downs that Oklahoma had 7 yards, 12 went for no gain or a negative yardage.
If I set OU's win total for the rest of the season at 5.5, what would you say? What would you take?
5.5 just because I don't want to kill myself?
Yep.
I mean, over just because I don't want to have to kill myself. But
yeah, let's not get the boards any more riled up.
I can't sit here and say that I think they're going to win another game outside of Maine. That's including next week.
Yeah. It's bad.
If they lose next week, it might be over. I mean, if they lose next week, how are they going to win any of the other games on their schedule?
If they lose next week, we're talking worst case scenario.
We're talking coaching search.
Yes.
There's little things too within a game that.
By the way, the Sooners are currently 3-1.
I know, and it is funny. Like,
but did you see the stat Masato put out there about Brent versus Lincoln and how many losses they've had?
But you know what?
I'm so tired of talking about Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln f***ed everybody, though. I mean, that roster was depleted, and we told that story so many times about how many players he lost, and we're the only ones that can actually tell the truth or shine some light on the situation when Brent took over. It was an awful situation.
We're 3 years removed from that.
Yeah.
Like at some point you can't.
But this is the first loss of this year. So I mean, like, how are we going back and say, well, Lincoln did?
If you really want to
Lincoln took over for a team that was going to the playoffs.
Yeah. If you really want to be like glass half full, I think that a lot of us would have said, you get through the first 5 games 4-1, everything's okay. But that doesn't tell the whole story about what's happening here. This is a very dysfunctional team, and not a dysfunctional team, a dysfunctional offense. And my biggest concern now is the split in a locker room where you have a defense that has obviously turned things around, busting their ass, and you have an offense that is pathetic. And that can happen. We saw it happen in those 17, 18, 19 teams.
And we don't know how to deal with it because it was the other way around for so many years.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
But, I mean, the thing is, like, knowing what a great offense is like that was just yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, the defense thing had been degraded for years and years and years.
I think the crazy part about tonight, too, is what we saw from Jaquez Petaway in the second half or in the fourth quarter. He ends up with 3 receptions, 79 yards.
Where's he been?
I don't know.
He hurt. And again, shame on me for asking another injury question after the game.
He looked good with the ball in his hands.
He looked great.
Why doesn't that transfer over into the first quarter?
And why can't him and Burks play at the same time?
Yeah, if you're gonna have Reagans out there playing on the outside, why can't those guys play on the outside?
I don't know. I don't understand. There's a lot. I just don't get it.
We get it. Distractions happen. That's why we designed the fully electric, full-sized Volvo EX90 with the latest technology to keep you and those around you safe. Its 2-sensor driver understanding system is designed to prevent distractions and help you stay focused. Reserve your Volvo EX90 today. Learn more at volvocars.com/US.
If I'm OU, I'm running zone read with Michael Hawkins for the next 12 weeks and saying, well, we're going to live and die by it.
How many games do you think are left?
Whatever, 10 weeks. Or what? I don't even care. It doesn't matter. But 8 weeks plus 2 buys. I'm running zone read. I'm huddling. Like, I don't understand the tempo stuff either anymore. College football's changed. You don't need to run all the tempo, especially when your team is just like, I think they get
What's the point of going tempo and going 3 and out?
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
If your offense sucks, like, you at least take some time off the clock.
Yeah.
And at least get in the huddle and say, okay, everybody, this is exactly what we're doing. Everybody know their job, and then go up there and run it. Like, I feel like sometimes they get up there, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but it feels like a lot of times they get up there and only half the 11 know what the hell they're doing. And then they go like, okay, well, let's go fast now and try and fix it. And it doesn't work. To me,
that is a poorly coached football team.
I also just don't understand. And I'm just going to rant here, but Brent, like, from a defensive-minded head coach's perspective, wouldn't you want to run an offense that's like a little bit time-sucking, and so that you can really control the game? Like, it doesn't
like
help.
Mark Stoops does.
Yeah, it doesn't help your defense in any fashion to run this type of an offense. And that goes back to the Jeff Lebby days. Like, one of their biggest downfalls in Brent's first 2 years is they run this offense that, sure, they might be really explosive at times, but then they'd go 3 and out in really big moments, and it would be less than a minute. And it's like, I don't get how Brent is in his 3rd year now, and he still hasn't figured that out.
I'd like this. I'd like someone, you can be you, George, I don't care, to go out there and look at the top 10 offenses in college football and tell me which ones don't use tempo. Because I think every top offense, to some extent, uses some tempo. It's just a
total offense. You want to use total offense as the?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
The top 10 total offense.
Hold on, wait. Go ahead.
Is Ole Miss, Tennessee, Miami, Louisville, Arkansas, UCF, Northern Illinois, Ohio State, Texas Tech, and Texas.
Okay, Northern Illinois probably doesn't use tempo.
Same. Wait, hold on. I'm going to look at those teams' time of possessions.
Sure.
While you read them.
But Tennessee uses tempo, and they won the time of possession tonight.
But they also slowed the way down when they knew that they couldn't move the ball as well. And that's my point. Is OU never does that. They never say, oh shit, we should probably slow down.
Did Josh Heupel
up very much?
Josh Heupel coach circles around Brent tonight?
I think it was a draw.
Yeah. I didn't think there was no decisions that I was like, that's a bad decision by Brent, other than when late in the 4th quarter when they should have just kept going for 2 instead of kicking the extra point.
The thing was, Josh Heupel had something to exploit, and he did.
Yeah.
There was nothing for Brent Venables to really exploit.
And I guess it's hard because, one's on offense, one's on defense, right?
I mean, Brent ran a 3-man front almost all night long and held them at bay from just running, all over the field.
I mean, I did think it was a positive that, you see DeJoun Terry go down and you think there's going to be a drop-off now in the middle, and there wasn't. Like, every guy that they threw out there defensively played a part.
The rotations are very strong on defense, whether it's at linebacker.
You feel confident
line.
about all those guys.
One thing I don't like. I thought Trace Ford had a hell of a game, maybe his best game tonight.
Yeah.
I would love to know why is it that Ethan Downs is your guy out there? Like, and maybe it's because he's a little bit bigger. He's not so like our Mason. We'll look at the snap counts when PFF releases them. They might be out there, but like I would say Ethan Downs out of every defensive end had to have the most snaps tonight. It just seems like he was almost always out there.
Yeah, I really don't know.
They were running a different defense though tonight.
Yeah,
like Trace wasn't.
Trace
playing
was like a Cheeto.
Yeah, he
almost.
wasn't playing defensive end tonight. Yeah, I'm trying to look at this time of possession stuff.
And I do think if they're positives, like Peyton Bowen was definitely more involved in returns tonight.
I mean, the offense was so bad at one point on a kickoff, like when Tennessee was kicking off, that it's like, even if it's 10 yards in the end zone, you might as well try to break
the ball
one.
boy was catching all of their kickoffs.
I know,
was
that
the
little
problem.
motherfucker ran right in front of me at one point.
It did not go unnoticed. I mean, he was catching him in the air. I mean,
he was a good player.
Kicker
He's a good player.
was kicking the shit out of the ball.
Carey, I really, and you said it at the beginning, but I can't remember an offense being this bad in the last 24 years since Bob got here in 99.
I mean, 2014 is the closest thing to just being a completely frustrating thing to watch.
You could win a lot of games with that 2014 offense.
Just like you could have won a national championship with about 10 different offenses in the Stoops era.
I mean,
defenses, I mean.
You would think in today's world of college football, too, that you would just luck in to an explosive play.
Yeah.
You
mentioned the Brennan Thompson
I wanted to
thing.
look, too, though.
They can't get a long play.
Big pass plays that Hawkins had at the end of the game, how many yards were those?
Petaway had the longest play of the game, 46-yarder.
I think that's this. How long was Arnold's pass to Farouk in the first game?
31?
Like 48?
No, yeah, I want to say it was like 40-something.
I mean,
it was either 41 or 30.
I think Hawkins had more
plays
explosive plays that they've had all year.
The longest plays that they've had is a 48-yarder and a 46-yarder, and the 46-yarder came from a backup, basically.
Yeah.
It's just awful. I mean, you look at the receivers that caught passes tonight.
47 yards is
The
what that
Farouk
play was, yeah.
We'll take out Bauer Sharp, we'll take out Jake Roberts, the tight ends, that is whatever. Deion Burks, 4 receptions, 32 yards. Jaquez Petaway, 3 receptions, 79 yards. Brennan Thompson, I think I'm done there. I just...
Same.
What are...
But I don't know who else are you playing.
I know. Like,
I want to see more Ivan Carrion and Zion Kearney, though. They're at least bigger guys.
Yeah. But still probably have a long ways to go in terms of physicality.
Yep.
I just don't understand they do nothing well offensively. Like, you can't hang your hat on anything that they do outside of go 3 and out. And I still don't know, like, there's a small part of me that it's like, it doesn't matter who the running backs are. It doesn't matter who the quarterbacks are. It doesn't matter who the wide receivers are. If the offensive line is going to be that bad, what are you going to do? I mean, there is no out. How bad is this offensive line? The worst offensive line since...
I believe this offense has only had
what was the 2014 offensive line?
Hold on real quick. I believe this offense has only had 4 passes over 20 yards.
I bet I could name them all.
Well, tonight, Petaway,
Farouk in the first throw of the season. Mm-hmm. Brennan Thompson had the crosser against Houston. Mm-hmm. And then did Burks have like a 20?
Nope. Wait.
I thought he had like a 20-yard something. Was it against Tulane or something?
Jake Roberts had a 28-yarder against Houston.
The 2014 offensive line would have been comprised of the likes of Tyrus Thompson, Derek Farniok at left tackle, Deontay Savage, Adam Shedd at left guard, Ty Darlington, Jonathan Alvarez at center, Neela Casatati, Tyler Evans at right guard, and Darrell Williams, Christian Daimler at right tackle.
That group's probably better than this group.
Yeah, by quite a bit.
How'd they let it get this bad?
It's on them. I mean, it really is. I mean, that's the one thing. It's like,
and you could say like, oh, well, Caden Green transferred. I don't think they're one guard away. And it's kind of like we talked about during the week leading up to the game tonight on the practice reports, George. Getting Branson Hickman back was good. That was a positive. It's not going unless
the snap
unless
issues
he
tonight,
unless
though.
he snap it at
God, that
12
first
feet
snap
right.
to Michael Hawkins, he had to dive for it.
There were several tonight that were bad.
They're
the
not-
first play of the game. It was
They're
a bad
not
snap.
one player away though. They're not one play away. They're not.
They're 11.
It's like we
players
said.
away.
I mean, what position has developed? How many offensive players on this team have gotten better?
You couldn't sit here. I legitimately think you could sit here and come up with 0 names.
Correct.
That have gotten better.
Correct.
I often have dreams that I've had a pet and I forgot to feed it for like a month, and I'm searching to find out if it's dead or not. And it turns out I never had a cat.
I don't know what this has to do with.
It's kind of like this offense.
Oh.
It's like Seth Luttrell has to wake up every night thinking, did I forget to practice for the last month? Do these guys know what they're doing?
It's crazy to think about this. I think maybe their 2 best players right now, and this is crazy to say, are 2 true freshmen. Like I think Michael Hawkins and Taylor Tatum might be their best. They're their best options moving forward.
Let's keep seeing some Zion Kearney. Let's see some more Petaway.
Play Eddie Pierre-Louis. Screw it.
Just no Nwiwu.
Sure. Ozida wasn't good tonight either.
No, he wasn't.
But you knew you're going to go through growing pains with him. They
Just like
stuck with
everybody
5.
else.
They
Who
stuck
cares?
with 5.
No, here's the other thing.
I'm not talking about this offense like scoring 28 points or something. I think it's so bad right now. We're talking about getting first downs, getting positive yardage.
Yep.
And then we'll worry about the touchdowns later. Maybe those will come. But right now, Carey's getting attacked by a bug. Right now, we're talking about just getting positive yardage on first down, which they can't do. And I would like to know, did they try different things on first down? Because it seems like, and again, this is something that it just feels like from being down on the field, they just try the same thing over and over again.
The only person that knows the answer to any of this is Seth Luttrell, because I guarantee he goes home at night and says, how the f*** did all this happen? Like,
you know what I want to know too? How much of this is Seth Luttrell's offense, and how much of it is the Levy offense and them saying, "Hey, let's keep we had a good thing going. You can mix in
like
some of your
Jackson
stuff."
really understands.
And I don't know. This is conspiracy George speaking, but like, is there a conflict of what they're trying to do offensively? Like, because everything from what I've know about Seth Luttrell is not the spread offense like Levy runs. Like, it's different. And so, like, I don't know. It feels like they're still trying to do a lot of what they were doing last year, but then they're also mixing in the stuff that Seth wants to do, and it's just not clicking.
It's like a house, basically, that, I think we've probably all gone to one of these houses before that they're trying to do some renovations inside, and the homeowner's doing it himself instead of hiring it out. And it's like you go over there, 1 month.
It's about the office.
And then another month, it's like, well, no, but maybe. You go over to the house, though, and it's like, yeah, we're still working on this. But you can tell that they really haven't done a whole lot. That's what it feels like. That's kind of what you described.
Yep.
And if that's the case, fire everybody now. Because that's fucking pathetic. Why would they do that?
Yeah,
and I know it's
mean,
a conspiracy, but
I agree. I mean, that's how it kind of felt with Josh when he was the offensive coordinator. Like it was too many cooks in the kitchen. Everybody having their say in what the offense should be. And then when Lincoln Riley came in, he was like, "This is my offense. Yeah. I run it how I see fit," and it worked. And it worked really, really well.
They had really good offensive lines, though, too.
Yeah. But maybe it's because Bill wasn't able to tinker in the offense.
And here's the thing, guys. I know they've got a really good offensive line recruiting class coming in, but you're not starting 4 true freshmen on the offensive line next year.
That's their biggest problem right now. You can't start a Eddie Pierre-Louis. You can't start a Eugene
They're
Brooks.
not like
They're
that's
ready.
not Michael Fasusi isn't coming in and just fixing this thing next year. They're going to have to do this again and go get guys in the transfer portal probably.
And I think like that's just fool's gold, isn't it? Like if there's one position on the offensive line, or in the transfer portal that isn't very plentiful of guys that are available.
There was like 2 quality tackles in the last portal.
And they lost out Lance Hurd. Obviously, he didn't play tonight. But
like the odds of getting one of those guys is not very high.
Unless you're paying top dollar, which OU's not paying top dollar. They're paying, and they'll pay well, but like when I know Dylan Gabriel's making a hell of a lot more money at Oregon this year than he was at Oklahoma.
It's just it's very concerning looking at the future. And I really liked what we saw out of Michael Hawkins tonight. I think it takes some balls to go out there and produce after what you had just seen.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
they also didn't have 3 games of tape on him either.
Sure. And I think that it's going to reach a point where I think that there's going to be some really good players within the program if it continues on this trajectory that go, why would I come back to be a part of this?
Yeah.
It's getting
that's when Seth Luttrell gets fired.
It's getting
worse.
worse.
Players start jumping ship.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
And at this point, if you start Michael Hawkins, he plays well. Jackson Arnold's leaving.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think that
and that might
and maybe something
tonight.
crazy happens and Jackson comes back and he's just phenomenal and all that, but like that's reality in college football. I think that shit might be sailing.
Yeah.
And the reality is somebody will give him another opportunity because he has a
just
great
like
arm
DJ.
and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, guys. It's disappointing, I guess. That's an obvious statement.
Tonight was shocking. It wasn't like unexpected that they could struggle a little bit, but just to see
it's just when the defense, it's so crazy because
for them to be given all those gifts.
It was exactly what we
and
said
them to
all
just
week.
F it all up.
It was they laid it out perfectly. It was like they're down and the defense gave up the big play on the 66-yard touchdown pass or whatever. And then they come back out and they get exactly. I told Eddie, I said, imagine if they're able to punch that in and it's 10-10. That stadium would have been going fucking nuts. And then Nico has to, go, try and respond, and maybe he makes another mistake. And he did.
And you get stuffed running first and second down, and you have to drop back and throw it into
it's like
double coverage.
You were right. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. He was right there. And that's what makes me think maybe they're not that far, but they are. They're that far.
But the thing is, the offense, just by doing what they did last night, made it harder for OU to win the game. That's when you know it's f***ed, is when you have a side of the ball.
You're not going to bleep all these. You need to leave them in.
When you're one side of the ball contributes to you losing, you're a negative. Like, that should never happen. You should never have a side of the ball, and it's happened on the defense before at Oklahoma. We've seen it. But for the offense to be the reason that you're losing games, it's inconceivable.
I would pay to watch this offense go against that 2018 defense.
Oh, yeah.
Be a hell of a game.
You'd probably come out saying, hey, this defense ain't so bad.
No, I think you would come out with just a bunch of just shit show plays. Let's go home.
It's incredible. It really is.
I hope this was therapy for everybody. It's therapy for me.
I'm sorry I asked a bad question tonight. That's on me.
Terrible.
Just let it go. You're being too hard on yourself. I mean, people are chomping at the bit to go after anything and anybody.
I think the scariest thing too is I just don't think they have any answers. Like, there are no answers.
Not on
it's
offense.
not getting better overnight. I think
their
what we
answer
saw
was
with
to bench their starting quarterback
Brent
tonight.
Venables' future at the University of Oklahoma depends on him finding an answer.
Yeah.
Whether that's this season or in the future.
Yeah. It hasn't gone how I thought it was.
Well, you expect people that are paid like these guys are paid to incrementally get better, not worse.
Yeah. And
it's almost a loss of. It's like a loss of trust. Like we take you guys for your words. We when you tell us Jackson Arnold is the best thing for this football team, we believe you. And then when we see with our own eyes, and then the fans come after us because we believed in you and told them what you're telling us, now they're coming after us, questioning our credibility. Like, this thing has fallen apart so horribly that I don't know if it can be fixed. I've never seen something fall apart like this before, offensively at Oklahoma.
And this quickly. I mean, it's week 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they benched Jackson Arnold. They had to.
It's crazy.
You could not run him back out there after the way that he played.
And there was a point where I thought they were, if Hawkins would have got hurt, I thought they were going to put in Casey Thompson. Like, I think that's the point
when
they
we
got
were
to.
walking back to from the stadium and the big roar happened and the game was still going on, I turned to Ari and I said, either Michael Hawkins did something really good, or they got another turnover, or they put Casey Thompson in the game and he scored a touchdown. Like, I didn't know what was happening. And then I stopped at some tailgaters and watched. That was when he ran it almost into the end zone, but then the replay, and they made it short of the goal line.
He flipped. That was a hell of a flip,
I thought
too.
he was paralyzed for a second.
I know. It's like, oh, God.
It's bad. It's bad.
He's a tough kid.
But, you know what? He popped up and was fighting to stay back in that game.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it. We're coming back on Monday.
I could go another hour. Just shit on this thing even more.
I want to go to bed.
Offensively, it's as bad as I can ever remember. Like those 97, 98 teams, I was 8.
By the way, real quick, how were your dads after the game?
Not good. Not good at all. I called my dad. He has little faith. He also asked me why PJ didn't play, and I said, Dad, why do you care? I mean, I get his question, and I didn't see PJ play either, but I don't really care about that. But
the worst part about tonight is it's too late for whiskey.
I mean,
maybe I'll
the
day
sun's
drink
going to come
while
up
Baker
in
plays
like
tomorrow.
an hour.
It doesn't rise at 4:46.
What time does it rise? Like 5:30?
About 6:40ish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Eddie and I know these things, unfortunately.
Oh, God.
All right. That's going to do it.
We have to watch this again next week.
On the road.
I think you have to watch it the next 10
You have to
weeks.
fly to Atlanta and then fly back from Atlanta to watch this
I
shit
joked
show.
earlier tonight. I think that the most likely and probably the most welcoming fate in my life is just dying in a hurricane this week.
All right. That's going to do it on that cheery note to end things. Eddie and I still have to get shit up, so our night is not over. George, enjoy going home and going to sleep.
I'm going to just go walk into traffic.
There's no traffic out there. It's too late.
Damn it. Will you hit me when you leave?
I'll shoot you.
There's been enough ambulances on Campus Corner already tonight. We don't need another one.
We won't call one. We'll let them bleed out.
All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for listening to the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast. We will be back with you again on Monday for a recruiting report where Josh will probably tell us that all the recruits have decommitted.
Go look at Josh's report card from tonight.
I don't want to.
It is literally the worst grades I've ever seen in a report card ever put out.
Just for the offense, though.
Yeah. And again, OU played so damn well defensively. I feel like we shit on the offense so much here that people are going to be like, why didn't you give it up to the defense?
It was heroic, Eddie. It was heroic what the defense did tonight.
That's where we'll end it.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening right here the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast on Soonerscoop.com.